So we're launching the world's first colossal biovault and species preservation lab, right? And so obviously most people know us about de-extinction and the woolly mammoth, the Tasmanian tiger, and the dodo, but we spend so much time talking about the application of these technologies to conservation. What most people aren't focusing on, and this is why I think the World Government Summit is a perfect place to have this conversation, is that we as an entire world are going to lose up to 50% of all biodiversity in the next 25 years. And so modern conservation works. It just doesn't work at the speed at which we're eradicating species. And so we're now starting to work with governments to build actual biovaults, like the equivalent of the seed vault that people know of in Northern Europe, only for animal cells, so that we can protect the existing life and the biodiversity on Earth while we're working to save it.
Okay, so the seed vault, though, for example, is closed to the public. What's
Yes.
so interesting is this is going to be open to the public at the Museum of the Future, one
Right.
of the most famous museums in the world.
It's so innovative, right? Because, well, one of the things that we found with Colossal is that we've done such a good job of getting people excited. And I wouldn't say that Colossal did. I think it's just the subject matter, right? It is a cool subject matter, but it's also really, really exciting. And so, how can we wrap all that together and make it an actual experience? So you have not just a biovault in some like crazy back dungeon or basement, but you have it on display, and we can connect science and conservation and de-extinction all together.
And so is the aim to store quite literally every single mammal's DNA in this vault?
Exactly, exactly. We're starting with the keystone species, and we're also starting with the Arabian Peninsula. So let's take all of the biodiversity here that's unique and back that up. Let's also look globally at keystone species, species that are critical for ecosystems survival and thriving. Let's back those up as well.
Okay, how critical is this? Is there a sense of speed?
I think it's massively critical, and I think that the UAE being so thoughtful and so like forward thinking and really about the future. I mean, where else would you launch it but the Museum of the Future, right? Where it's a living lab. I think it's so important that governments lean in now and have these national assets where they're actually preserving species. Because, like I said, conservation works. It's not working at the speed of which we are taking from nature, and so I think it's absolutely imperative, and we have to have it now, and we need it yesterday, and we just need to go faster.
Okay, so I work for a business program, so I'm
Yeah.
interested to know what the sort of economic case for
Yeah.
this as well. Obviously, it's a wonderful, beautiful thing to
Yeah.
do, but what's the business case?
The economics are, we're losing these species that we have no idea what their impact is, not only on the ecosystems, but how they could be applied to human healthcare. So most people like talk about things like the GLP-1s, like Ozempic and whatnot. A lot of the research that was fundamental to make that work in humans was from a Gila monster, this little venomous lizard from I know, right? From Arizona. And most pharma and biotech study, things like in mice and non-human primates, but there's a wealth of data also for cultures and for governments in this region. Like think about corals that live here that are salinity tolerant or heat tolerant. That technology could be studied and then applied to corals all over the world. And there's opportunities for governments to work together. There's opportunities for private institutions to work together, all off this massive data set. And that's outside of just preserving national assets like species like the Arabian leopard and others here, or species that are critical to an ecosystem.
You mentioned partnerships there. Obviously, you've partnered with the Museum of the
Right.
Future, with the Dubai government. Are you looking for other partners in this project?
Yes, yes. This is not a colossal project. This is not a Middle East project, a UAE project. This is a world project. We need to bring all these people together and really work together to solve the biodiversity crisis.
Okay, so as other countries are invited to participate, are you expecting to commercialize the BioVault, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, right now it's a huge investment by a country to do it and put it in there and then wrap. And then if you want to do it the way that Dubai is so kind of like future focused in wrapping content, it's a huge investment, right? So you got to think about ways that you can monetize. I think that it's still kind of early in that journey. We know that from Colossal that a lot of the technologies that we've developed on the path to de-extinction and conservation also are massively applicable to industrial use cases, defense use cases, and human healthcare use cases, right? And so those technologies, I assume, will also come out of things like the BioVault, but it's just too soon to tell, right? I think it's most important that we start the process of protecting species and building the education and inspiring the kids. And then from there, we can find ways that it can be more commercially available.
Final question. I can't let you go without asking you how close you are to bringing back the woolly mammoth and the dodo.
So the woolly mammoths, we don't have a timeline officially on the dodo, even though I think I know it in my head based on the teams, but I don't want to out them yet.
Okay.
We had a major breakthrough with primordial germ cells last year that we talked about,
Yeah.
which was really exciting. But then separately, we are on track for late 2028 for our mammoth calves. I know I have to like pinch myself. It's like it's so close. We're like, a little over 2 years away from where I think we'll be.